Hello, hello, everybody. Happy Monday. Hi. Good morning. Hello, hello. Thank you for joining. Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome to Eleanora Live. I'm Ellie Morrison, and this is my IGTV series where I interview friends all over the place right here from my little pink couch, live in my home studio office in San Antonio, Texas. And my guest today, I know you're gonna love her. Her name is Katie Rae Meyers. She's executive producer of Houston Life in Houston, Texas, obviously, on KPRC2. And here she is. I'm gonna welcome her right on in. Waiting for Hey Katie Rae. Here she comes. Hi, good morning. How are you?
Great. How are you? Am I right side up?
You are. You
Okay,
got
good.
it. Look at you looking fresh with your mask.
I know. Look, it's even branded with our brand.
I love that.
But this is our lobby.
So everybody, we wanted to start the show. Katie Rae Meyers, Katie, as I lovingly call her. She's executive producer of a live television show in Houston, Texas. And so we wanted to start out this show by welcoming you to KPRC2, giving you a little behind the scenes tour of what it's like to run a television show every day. And Katie's going to start with a little tour of the station for us.
Yeah, so look at how cool this backdrop is. This is what we get to walk into every day. And we get like a little taste of the history of not only the station that's been around in Houston for 75 years, but just television in general. Like, can you believe like we're going live from our phones right now, but that people used to have to use film like this? Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy. I mean, I was just typing in, the title of our little episode on the live before we started, and I was thinking to myself, like, this is insane. The fact that we can just broadcast from anywhere now, it's really, truly remarkable. But still, there's nothing like a real newsroom. Look at where we're headed.
I know. So this is our newsroom, and I'm just going to give you a peek from here because I know everybody's super hard at work, but this is like where all the information gathering happens for the city of Houston.
Wow.
Specifically these desks right here. This is where they're listening all day long to what's going on in the city, and they're dispatching reporters and photographers and making sure that you guys get the information and the news that you need, both locally and nationally. They're just constantly plugged in. So yeah, I'm very, I'll consider myself personally, Ellie, to be a little bit lucky in that I don't have to deal with like a lot of the hard stuff that happens every day in this city. There's a lot of course, really negative things that happen. On our show, though, we get to do the good news. So we love doing that. And let me see. Let me show you right here. So, oh, there I am.
Oh, there you are. There's your reflection.
Okay, so this is our biggest control room.
Wow. Look at that, everybody.
So, like, there's not a live newscast going on, but this place will be full when we are in the middle of a live newscast.
Wow.
With directors, with producers. Sometimes if it's a really big situation, you know, there will be news management in here, just really supervising everything that's going on. These are our little news dressing rooms. How are you today, Ellie?
I'm great, Katie. I'm living vicariously through you. I mean, it's just virtually to be able to be in a newsroom is so exciting. And I mean, of course, I don't know if you know this, but I studied communication as well when I was in college, and I had an internship here in San Antonio on the Great Day SA morning show, and our control room was really cool, but there is nothing like the adrenaline that I feel if I'm stepping into a newsroom that looks like that. I mean, it really is. This is how we do it at the big stations in the US. So, you know, yeah. I've had our mutual friend, Whitney Kuhn Lawson, shout out to Whitney if she's watching, used to work for CBS, and she took me in New York City, and she took me through that newsroom 2 years ago on a trip up there. And my goodness, I mean, there's just nothing like it. It's incredible.
It's incredible. And yeah, this is we're really lucky. We have two control rooms here. So we have our own control room. this is by far and beyond the biggest station that I've worked at. The network is a whole nother level, you know, maybe dream-wise, that I'll get to eventually. But this, I feel so fortunate, like, to walk in the doors every day and work here. My parents and my family have been through here, and they're like, oh my God, Katie, you made it.
It's so cool.
So,
It's really so
yeah.
cool. So
And then look at this timeline. So we, like, right when you enter in, you get to see like this whole timeline of the news industry here in Houston. You'll notice even here, like, look at this old photo. This is from the 70s, like, all men.
Oh yeah. Oh,
You know what I mean?
wow. And now you see women in all of those positions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But like, there's a lot of, like, I don't know if you ever, like the Golden Girls.
Ah!
So this is a really fun look through time at television for NBC and for then KPRC here in Houston, because we are that NBC.
Are you an NBC affiliate?
We are, yeah.
Okay.
And so everybody who enters through to come to the show, they come through those doors, they get to see this timeline, and they come here to our green room. And this is where we'll chat a little bit later, but we usually have a bunch of snacks and the show is usually on, but with COVID, we're not letting people in right now, unfortunately. And we are keeping safe too, though. Like, we like literally have cleaning lists and logs on the outside of each room. So, and as you saw, I'm wearing this mask, which, like, I'm severely out of breath because of, but
I know. They're just
bear with me, right?
Yes, but we want you to be safe first and foremost.
So this is where we do hair and makeup. Usually we're staffed with like a hair and makeup person every day, which is awesome. But right now it's just Derek and Courtney's kind of little place to get ready. This is Derek and Courtney. They're the hosts of our show.
And they're on right now live, right?
Well, yes, we should be. But if you'll notice right now, live we're on with Congressman John Lewis, memorial services for him right now. I know, which is obviously a celebration of his service to our country and everything that he did. But as the story goes with us, I mentioned that we are all good news. So when something breaking happens or when there's a big news event, we have to stop down what we're doing for the important information to get out on the air. So that's kind of the situation we're in right now.
So the show, so you, when you do that, when that happens here in the US and you're an affiliate, do you just stop the show or do you not put on the show?
We stopped the show. Actually, if you don't mind, I'm going to take off my mask.
Oh, look at you, fresh and fabulous.
Gosh, you never know what's going to happen when you take off that mask, you know, like anything could be under there. So we stopped down the show. Sometimes we'll keep going like on Facebook Live. If we have any live guests, we'll pre-record those segments because we don't want them to have wasted their time. You know, they came, they blocked out their schedule. We had a girl that was supposed to be on the show today. She was actually one of the ballerinas. I don't know if you watched the Grammys with Lizzo performing this year.
Yes, I did. I loved that performance.
And the ballerinas, Misty Copeland. Yeah. So we had one of the ballerinas is literally from here in Houston, and she was on the show today. But she had to miss out on classes to be a part of the show. So we pre-taped that. We didn't want to waste her time. But look, I'm in this huge hallway right now. You'll see a bunch of like closets and like, this is what we dub our free table. So like after we're done using some props, they just sit on this table and occasionally we'll offer it up to the larger staff, like if they want anything from the free table. This really cool Houston Life cowboy hat right now.
Fun.
Out of control. Well, I'm going to head into the studio. Do you want to go into the studio?
Yes,
Abby?
please. I would love to go into the studio. Everybody, do you want to go into a TV studio?
Okay, it's much more fun to like be forward facing than it is to face my face right now. Okay, we're going in. I'm going to be quiet. Okay. This is a pregnant mannequin. I don't know why we have this, but we have it.
All right.
Hi, guys.
Here we are. We're Houston Live Studio.
Hi, this is Olivia. Olivia is one of our associate producers.
Hi, Olivia. How are you? I'm Ellie.
Okay.
Where the magic happens.
What is going on? Her earring fell off. Ellie, this is Derek and Courtney.
Hi,
Here, I'll
hi,
show you
Courtney.
guys Ellie real quick.
Good morning.
I was just telling Ellie about how we're just waiting.
We're doing well. How are you doing?
How are you doing, Ellie?
I'm great. I'm here on my little pink couch at home in San Antonio and getting a live tour of you guys in your studio, and Katie's giving me the works here.
Awesome. Amazing.
All right, well, I'm going to continue the show because I know that they're on standby. We've got a bunch of things to record. Oh, we're actually recording right now, so let me go.
That was gracious of them to let us interrupt.
Okay, so I'm going to stand back here, but you'll notice like these cameras don't have any cameramen behind them. And let me show you where they're controlled. All right, guys, I'm coming in the control room.
Here we go. Here's the Houston Live control room, everybody.
So this is our control room. I showed you the news control room earlier, but this is Heather. Heather's line producing. This is usually where I will sit.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, cue.
Well, if you're looking to add some international flavor to your quarantine routine,
This is live, guys. How cool is that?
we love to feature local restaurants that highlight dishes and cultures from countries around the world.
And today, the Houston Life team members, Olivia Kalanick and Paul Shelton, are taking us on a trip to Greece in their mini-series, Travel Through
This is
Takeout.
how the magic happens. From a bunch of computers. Katie, nothing gives me more anxiety than thinking about having to operate technology live.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Well, look, you see these joysticks that are right here?
Those are the
Our
cameras.
camera operator.
Wow.
Yeah. And then this is Thomas, our director. And, but clearly they're in the middle of working. So I'm going to pop back out and we'll go back to the green room and chat. How about that?
That
Wait, do you have
sounds
any
perfect.
other questions, Ellie, before I leave?
No, I have so many for you in the green room, but I don't want to interrupt everybody
Okay.
that's doing their job.
Okay, cool. Well, this is the control room. I think it's so exciting. It's one of the favorite parts of my job. I love being in there. It's so much energy, good vibes. Okay, going back through the studio. Oh, look, here's the green screen. This is where weather happens.
Oh yeah, where the weather happens.
Okay. All right, we're going behind the scenes. And here we go. Well, I hope that that was fun and interesting for some of the news junkies or people who are hoping to get into production.
Yeah, I mean it's really cool to see anybody doing any job, you know, that they do on a day-to-day behind the scenes. It's just there's so much that so many people don't know about how things are made. I just thank you for doing that tour with us, because I can never get sick of seeing newsrooms and green rooms, and I mean, you know, it's personally what I love, but I know it's fascinating for people. Somebody just commented and said that it looks like the newsroom, the show, Newsroom, which is exactly what it is.
The newsroom or morning show. I don't know if anybody watched Morning Show.
That's with Reese Witherspoon and Jennifer Aniston, right?
Yep, but that it's very, very similar to that. Or Morning Glory. Have you guys seen the movie Morning Glory?
I have not.
Y'all put that on your reading.
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. People are saying that they've been watching all the things that we've mentioned. That's cool.
Yeah, Morning Glory is pretty similar to what I do on a daily basis. And everybody, if you're watching right now, I'm sorry, I had set up my little tripod in a different horizontally instead of vertically, but I promise I can multitask here.
Well, speaking of multitasking, I feel like as an executive producer of a television show, you have to be a queen of multitasking. And I want to know, how do you get here? You know, I mean, thinking about studying in college when we were young and bright-eyed, bushy-tailed in our newsrooms on college campuses, you know, there is a lot that you don't know, and there are so many things that you just have to learn on the job. And I didn't end up going that route once I graduated, but you did. And I'm really curious as to, you know, how you got here. I mean, it's been 10 years now, right, since you graduated. So or right?
Yeah, 10. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that journey and what the road has looked like for you.
Yeah, I mean, really the road has been, I feel like, very conventional in that I've always been in TV, but also very unconventional because I went into school thinking that I wanted to be in magazine journalism. I wanted to be a writer.
Oh,
Yeah, and so my mom was in publishing. Like I was always the nerd with the camera around school and at home, like making my friends do a play that I had either written or that I remember one time we did Pocahontas. But my mom being a professional journalist, I always thought, well, that's what you do. You go, you write, right? And she did newspapers, so I thought magazines, that's like the thing that I want to do. I always looked up to her and her career. And it was actually after my freshman year of college that I came back and my parents were like, Fox 8 News, that was our brand of television. That's what we watched. Everybody in Cleveland watches Fox 8 News. It's been #1 literally since I was a baby to this day.
and this is Cleveland, Ohio.
In Cleveland, Ohio, yes. Thank you for filling in those gaps for me. But I came home my freshman year of college after taking, my journalism 101, economics 101, all the prereqs for college. And they were like, this show, they're starting this show at Fox 8 News in Cleveland, and they're hiring interns. And we think that you should apply. And I was like, guys, that is not what that's not what I want to do. I want to be in magazines. Why would I ever apply for this internship? And they were like, Katie, all experience is good experience.
My parents used to tell me the same thing. Yep.
Yes.
So true.
You never say no to an opportunity. And so I was like literally so angry, like upset with my parents that they were making me apply for this internship. But lo and behold, I got the internship and had the best summer. It was with a show called That's Life with Robin Swoboda. And after that summer, I went back to school and I changed my major to broadcast journalism. And I really, it was the first time I had ever seen that you could take the written word, right, but also match it with the visuals that I had loved for so long. But pretty much after that, I mean, my first job, I knew I wanted to be in lifestyle. I knew I wanted to be in features and good news and entertainment. My first job out of college was an overnight associate producer for a newscast. And my second job was with another newscast in town, both in Cleveland, Ohio. And then I had to take a step back to be an associate producer to get into lifestyle. And as I look at my resume or look through my career and try to figure out how to answer, how did I get here? It's really just, I took every opportunity, even if it didn't seem like it was going to be on the path that I wanted to be on. And I never at 18 said to myself, I want to be the executive producer of a television show. I never said that to myself. And yet here I am, because I followed the path that I was supposed to be on. And usually when doors start opening for you, I feel like those are the yeses, right? That's the universe or the world saying walk through that door, Katie, walk through that door, Ellie.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't know. I think there are so many roads that you can take to get to being an executive producer of a television show, but ultimately all experience is good experience. Just keep hustling and working and taking every single opportunity that comes your way.
This is great advice for anybody who's watching who, may be younger or in college. But speaking of, I think I'd love to have you define or describe what your role as an executive producer looks like. I think that's something that's sort of mysterious for a lot of people, including me. So before we sort of get into some other things that I want to talk to you about, can you describe what it is that you do and what your responsibilities are as an executive producer?
That's a really great question to ask if you ever are applying for an executive producer role, because it's really an all-encompassing role and it's looked a little bit different, I think, at every station that I've been to. Right now, I'm a showrunner. So our producers are booking, they're shooting, they're editing, they're in the nitty gritty on the content creation, but everything comes through me and I help piece the puzzle together every day for the show.
Okay.
It's a lot of schedules. It's a lot of like leading and managing the team, but also just setting the vision for the show. Where are we going? What do we want to accomplish? Every month we do brainstorms and we kind of reevaluate that vision. You know, we just had one last week, so we're going in the direction of back to school is really important right now. Everybody dealing with a new back to school era. So I do a lot of vision and planning, day-to-day show running, but then there is big picture stuff. Sometimes there are contract negotiations that I'm a part of, or budget conversations, yearly strategy and planning. Right now I'm going through set redesign meetings. So we're redesigning our graphics as well. There's a lot.
It sounds a lot like you're almost like like a creative director type role, in addition to, if you're going to relay it to magazine, in addition to editor-in-chief. It's almost like you touch every single piece of how the show comes together, and you are sort of shaping the aesthetic of it, the feel of it, the vibe of it. That's super interesting. I mean, I can see how it has parallel to a lot of other positions that we all look at collectively as aspirational roles in different creative fields. Mm-hmm. And, you know, with being an executive producer and with sort of designing a TV show, because that's kind of what you're doing, what have been some of your top moments, people you've met, experiences you've had along the way because of your life in television?
Yes. So there have been so many, and especially because I went through a bunch of my photos in preparing for this and sending to you. Like, oh my gosh, I forgot about that. But I want to share with you, I had an internship at the Today Show my last year in college, and that has and it was, I know it is like some of my all-time favorite life moments happened there, but one thing that like still gives me chills to this day was the first time I heard Matt Lauer read what I had written on television. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And it was for specifically a Betty White segment. In 2010, when I was interning there, Betty White was kind of coming through her resurgence. She had just booked a couple television and film roles, and she was going to be hosting SNL that week. And so she was coming on the show, and I got this assignment to work with this producer. And I spent weeks watching Betty White footage. I mean, her career.
That's called doing your research, everybody.
Yes.
Very important.
Yes. I mean, media interviews that she had done, TV shows, movies. I mean, the woman has had a career that's beyond careers.
Oh, yeah. Legend.
And so the producer was so great. She let me help write like the intro for the segment. I helped edit the pre-tape that aired before her interview, and I did the suggested questions. And when Matt Lauer read what I had written without changing any of it, I was like, like it was just that pretty much solidified that I was like, this is what I need to be doing for the rest of my life.
That is so cool. That is so cool.
But one other thing I wanted to share that I know that you'll get a kick out of is that also when I was at the Today Show, Sting was there performing. And in 2010, he was touring with a group of 60 musicians, like just performing with an orchestra.
Wow.
And
great.
My job that morning was to go and get all of the musicians' paperwork filled out and signed and like copies of their licenses. Well, Sting had a sore throat that morning. And so after I had finished all the paperwork, I had to go into his dressing room and hold a steamer for him so that he could,
his vocal cords.
So that he could, you know, loosen up his vocal cords. And like Sting is like, I don't know if there are any music fans out there, but Sting is just about as good as it gets. And when you're an intern, you're not allowed to talk to anybody. You're not allowed to take pictures of anybody. So, you know, can you imagine just like, you know, 20-year-old Katie just holding a steamer like, I'm standing in front of Sting.
Hope your vocal cords are opening up, Sting.
Hey, bro, hope it's cool in a couple hours when you perform. Chevy Chase, I had in the green room at one time. More recently, just last year on this show, what's also crazy is like the market that we're in brings in a lot. Houston is such an important city for the entertainment industry because we have a lot of available viewers. So a lot of people that come through this city really want to be on the show. And Courtney, who you guys just met in the live tour, our host, she got invited to moderate a panel interview with Emilia Clarke and Natalie Emmanuel from Game of Thrones last year.
Wow.
And so that was another situation where even though my title has changed from intern to EP, I was still in the back, like, don't speak to them, don't make eye contact, don't say a thing. I was just kind of there taking it all in, you know, being there for Courtney. But we've had Dennis Rodman on the show.
Former Spur, Dennis Rodman,
yeah,
also just recently featured in the Last Dance documentary.
Yes, if anybody's been watching that Last Dance documentary. But gosh, who else?
You've also had my Instagram obsession, and she's my BFF, but she doesn't know it yet. Heather McMahon, you've had her on the show.
Yeah. So yeah, Derek was able to just, and as you know, it's crazy. If you just reach out to people, you never know, you know, if they're going to take an opportunity like being on a show, or being on an Instagram live, right?
Literally. That's what I did with you. I've just been going through my friends who I think do really cool things, and I'm like, hey, will you come join me live on Eleanora Live? The worst you can get is no. You just shoot for the stars and do it. So
yeah, that's exactly what happened with Heather. She was coming in through town to perform, and our host Derek just sent her a message and was like, hey, 1 o'clock, do you want to be here? Sure enough, you know, she took the opportunity, and that's what has been so cool to learn about being in this position is like we get so starstruck sometimes, but these people are just normal people. They are just normal people, and they want to have success, and that's why they come and they are able to promote their shows here. But yeah, a lot of crazy moments. Lester Holt, I know you shared a picture of Lester Holt, the whole Today Show team when I was up there.
Al Roker, you have a picture with Al Roker.
Al Roker. Sean Johnson, I know I said this to you. I don't really get nervous anymore when people come through, but Sean Johnson, USA Gymnastics, gold medalist.
Yes.
Like, I go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs over gymnastics. Like, I know the Olympics were canceled this year, but like, I'm the crazy person that is watching gymnastics like a hawk. And so when Sean Johnson came to San Antonio and was on SA Live, like my hands were shaking as I put the microphone on her. I was blown away. But
and you say SA Live because before you were at Houston Live, you were EP for SA.
Yeah,
you were executive producer for
SA
Live here in San Antonio, which is why Katie and I know each other, is because she used to live in San Antonio a few years ago. Okay, so with all that being said, I think that all of these highlights, the career highlights and really cool moments and whatever, you know, all of the highs, for every high, there's also a challenge, you know, and there are so many obstacles that we all sort of have to overcome, especially as we're up and coming and we're learning all these things. There's a learning curve to your position and all of it. And there's also a lot of pressure when you're running a live television show and you have all of these responsibilities that a lot of people have been commenting. There's your mom. She says, that's my daughter. I'm so proud of her. Hi, Mom. She's so sweet. But you have really done something amazing with Houston Life, obviously, because your ratings during this time of COVID have exploded, and you have now earned the show to be moving a little bit later in the day to a more primetime spot. So this is something that is very worth celebrating. Congratulations to you. But what I want to know is, you know, we always talk about the highlight reel, right? Social media is all about the highlight reel. What are some of the obstacles or challenges that have presented a learning curve in your career, and how have you overcome them as you've sort of climbed the ladder to the position you are now?
Yeah. I'm so fortunate to work in good news. I mean, this career has been phenomenal, and to say it has not, struggle is always relative, of course, right? Challenges
Right.
are relative, but like I can look back and really identify some moments, especially with maybe some former disgruntled employees, also with bosses who my values or my leadership style just wasn't aligned, company culture not being aligned. It's also really tough being away. You mentioned my mom. My family lives in Ohio. So I've sacrificed being close to my family to move all over the country. But really, if I like reflect on all the challenges, all the maybe negative moments, that underlying thread is my biggest challenge has always been myself.
Yes.
If I,
Amen.
yeah, if I'm going to be honest, like I have always been my biggest roadblock, you know, whether it be my own self-doubt, my own insecurities, my fears. You know, I think it's really easy to sit here and say I had a really bad boss, or I had a really horrible employee. But that to me feels a little victim-y. You know what I mean? Like it's,
I agree with you 100%. I cannot, I'm so glad you're saying this, because in all the times of recent reflection on my own career, and the times that were, you know, challenges for me of, you know, being laid off or losing my job when I was younger, that was a big moment. But you know what, when I go back and it's been years of reflection, that some of that was on me. You know, it's the way that you respond to a lot of situations, and it's not easy to admit that always.
mm-hmm.
But I think too, when we are ambitious and when we are you know, when we're striving for big things and when we have big dreams, fear and self-doubt, they're the biggest the sabotaging mechanism of everything. I mean, at least they've been for me, and I'm relieved to hear that somebody I admire so much as you has also felt the same way and would identify with that too.
Well, I admire you as well. I will say that for sure, and I appreciate that. But yeah, I was specifically just even over the weekend reflecting on a moment from a prior job where I had an employee who was just so negative, who was so unsupportive, and really just like a very disgruntled human being. And that person said some really negative things about me. And I let those things get in my head, like, and just completely disrupt all of my thoughts, completely disrupt my positivity, even my ability to really make effective decisions. Like it got in that deep. And now with age, with experience, with therapy, with all of the things that come from being 32, I am able to let go of things. And I'm constantly a work in progress, right? But if I were to have that happen to me again, I would not take it as hard as I did the first time.
Yeah.
I've shared this with you as well, gotten some really tough feedback from bosses that I need to smile more in meetings, to not talk in meetings as much. And I think I'm so thankful for those moments because they have helped define who I am. But now I wouldn't let those things get to me. And I've done a lot of work personally to be able to focus on what's important, right? Focus on who I am, what my goals are, but also to learn how to respectfully and professionally stick up for myself.
Yes.
In situations and not just take it. I think as women, we're pretty hardwired to just smile and move forward dusted under the rug. But I think that there is a respectful way to call someone on their bad behavior. And I'm still learning how to do that, but I'm really trying to be cognizant of that as I enter into continued situations where I feel a little uncomfortable or unsure about comments that are made to me.
Yeah, and I think I totally agree with you. And thinking back on my earlier years of starting out in my career, I think it's, you know, and there's something too with me about being from Texas. I'm not sure if it's a cultural thing or whatever, but at least within me, it's, you know, respect for your elders, respect for your elders, respect for your elders. And so there were so many times when I was in my younger career and something would be said in a meeting, something would be said to me directly in the break room, something would be said, and I just felt icky. It wasn't like I was offended or upset, but just something didn't sit right with me about that comment. And being 22, 23, 24, I didn't feel I knew how to address it either in a joking way, but strongly enough so that that person knew that they couldn't mess with me, or I didn't appreciate that type of joke. I think there are, you know, now being 30, I'm 31, you're 32. I think you just learn over the years how to stake your ground, how to stick firm to your values, but still be, you know, cool to be around. I don't know. It's just, and everybody's different. But for me, that's how my personality and the way that I find the most joy in going along the day to day. That's just sort of how I've navigated that over the years and really growing a backbone. And this is not even just with men. Most of this is with women.
100%. Women are often more critical of each other than they are. Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, have you seen this current social media trend going around where you post a black and white picture of yourself? Yes, I'm about to do that tomorrow. I've been tagged by a few people and I'm totally going to tag you, but yeah, we'll be participating. I love this new thing of challenge accepted, women supporting other women by, you know, sending them a message to post a black and white picture. It's so great. I mean, this is exactly what we need.
Yes.
And speaking of women and strong kick A women, according to your brand, keep it PG, keep it PG. But you have a podcast and it is called Coffee with Katie. And we were just talking about fears and how self-doubt is sabotaging, and overcoming these fears is one of the biggest factors of growth in your career. You have Coffee with Katie. It has caused you, I think, to feel certain fears, like strap in, we've started this thing, it's going overboard, like I got to do this or I'm not going to do this. Talk about, you know, that experience and some of the things that you've learned, because you've interviewed some big names on your podcast, Elizabeth Chambers-Hammer, among others. So I'm dying to know what that has been like for you and some of the things that you've learned.
That starting that podcast is by far and beyond the thing that has made me grow the most, personally and professionally, of course. But really, from starting that podcast, I realized like I can do anything. I can do anything. I can figure anything out. And that if you have like a little itch in your gut or in your brain to do something, you just have to do it. So yeah, I actually launched the podcast because I was going through a divorce at the time and felt so broken and disconnected from my community and like unmotivated. And I just, it was actually an idea from a therapist, that I start meeting with somebody new, either for drinks or coffee or like just on the phone, somebody new once a month. And I actually started just like you're doing now, reaching out to people on Instagram, connecting with people on social media that I didn't know. And I just said, hey, I've been admiring you. Can we have a conversation? And I met like photographers, doctors, personal trainers, like people that I just had respected from the internet. And I thought as I kept meeting people and trying to build my community and do this personal growth, that like these were people who weren't, you know, on movie posters. They weren't,
Right.
you know, famous. Who was going to share their story, right? They're still phenomenal stories. So I was like, I got to do something. And I'm already sitting down with these people. So I researched all the equipment and how to get up a podcast into the interwebs. And, you know, I created my own logo. I've zero like design experience. And, was it perfect? No. And I look back and like, I've listened to some of those interviews again, and I'm like, I can't listen to these because I get embarrassed or self-conscious, but I'm so proud that I did it. And this time last year, I had like 13,000 people that had listened. And I just thought, man, like I literally started it for me and my mom. You know, I figured like my mom was going to be the only one who tuned in. People have messaged me and said that, you know, that I've helped them like launch their own business. There was a girl who decided to start her photography business after listening to a podcast. One of the girls that I interviewed was my cousin, and she's a biologist. She's like actually doing research on COVID right now to help find us a vaccine and a cure.
Bless her.
Yes, she's a phenomenal woman, but she's experienced a lot of hardships being a woman in the field of science. But
Sure.
she just messaged me a couple weeks ago and was like, I re-listened to my podcast, and it was such a gift to be able to be inspired by my own words coming back to me.
Yes. That is so
And
fantastic.
isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And so anyway, it just taught me that I can do literally anything, to believe in myself. And if you don't try it, you never know what's going to happen. And the worst feeling in the world has to be not knowing what if, you know. I would hate to be later in life and say, what if I had started a podcast when, you know, podcasts were becoming a thing? So yeah, it was a huge period of self-growth for me. And I really feel like I'm kind of looking for something similar again, because I just felt so positive. I felt like all of the negativity, I was focused on creating something special. And so, yeah, I don't know what that next thing will be, but I think I need maybe like a little side hustle or something.
You'll find it. And I relate, because Eleanora Live is that for me right now. It's like, how can I figure out how to put something out into the world that is totally positive? And I'm telling stories of women who are every which way in their career, and whatever they do is so different. It's not necessarily the big names, but it's the women who are just grinding it out every day, doing their thing, making it happen. And those are the people I've always been inspired by. And I think being in media, even if it's media that is made on your own, like from your little couch, I think being in media, it's about people, and it's about stories, finding those stories and telling those stories of other people so that you can relate to them and other people can relate. And I think it's finding that human connection. And that's what's so magical about media. And it's what keeps me motivated. And I often find when I've lost my inspiration with something that I've been creating, or, you know, okay, I've done Eleanora magazine, the editorial component of what I've been doing for, you know, a certain amount of time, I'm out of steam. And when you know you're out of steam, you know. And it's like, all right, how am I going to pivot? Taylor, hey Taylor, how am I going to pivot? How am I going to find that inspiration again? How am I going to reconnect with who I am and talk to the universe and find my soul again? And for me, it's just like, I totally relate to you, because it's about, I am the happiest when I am connecting with other people. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That is what it is. And you're born with it, or you're not. You know?
Yep.
It's just
yeah. And I couldn't relate any more to something than, I mean, you've been posting a lot, or your last blog post article that you put out was just connection over perfection. We especially, you know, I've got a television show over here, and like our goal is to be as perfect as possible every day. And I went to school to have all my ducks in a row, my T's crossed and my I's dotted. And that was really hard for me with the podcast to say, it's okay. Like,
Yeah.
it's okay. What's important is that people are getting to share what they have to share. And yeah, I mean, that's what this is all about. And we are all in a place now where I just feel like this time in our economy and our world, we're all just kind of maybe hopefully getting a little more understanding of one another.
Yep.
And you know, if you've got a technical glitch or something happens, I think we're all sitting at home like wondering, is our connection going to work today? Is our, you know, camera going to go out? And that's what we do every day in broadcast. We cross our fingers and we hope that everything's going to work out. And when it doesn't, we pivot. And, you know, it's been a really good transition to like just, the important thing is that the word gets out there, the message gets out there, the story gets out there. All the rest is just, you cross your fingers and hope for the best.
Well, speaking of people who need people, a little Babs moment. Speaking of people, who, if you could work with any person in the entertainment industry, who would you work with on a project and why?
Well, I have to say pretty stereotypically that it would have to be an Ellen or an Oprah, you know.
I figured you would say Ellen.
Ellen, you know, Oprah for me was like, Oprah was almost a time before me. You know what I mean?
Agreed. Yes.
I remember I have watched a lot of Oprah, but a lot of it in retro, you know, but I truly grew up with Ellen. And, like she's the person that I would watch when I would come home from school. Bonnie Hunt, I don't know if you remember Bonnie Hunt's daytime show. I think it only had 2 series, but I feel like I really have grown up with Ellen and watched and admired her. Now I'm going to be competitors with Ellen as we move into our 3 o'clock time slot. We'll be on at the same time as Ellen. So that is trippy to know that I'm going to be fighting for Ellen's viewers in Houston every day.
No pressure.
No pressure. None at all. A lot of pressure. A lot of pressure. But I also am such a huge SNL fan. Saturday Night Live. If I could even be in the same airspace as Lorne Michaels, who is the executive producer of Saturday Night Live. I mean, like, if I could even see him from across the room, it would just be life fulfilling. He has changed, I think, just the entertainment industry with SNL. But then also, I mean, he's touched so many movies and so many TV shows that really have defined the comedy landscape. Yeah, I mean, we're rewatching 30 Rock right now. And if you haven't seen, I think I got to get you watching 30 Rock, right, Ellie?
Yep.
But if anybody that's watching right now has seen 30 Rock and they need to know what I do on a daily basis, it's that. I do a lot of what Liz Lemon does. But anyway, Lorne Michaels was the executive producer of that show. So in addition to SNL, he does a lot of scripted series, which I'm really interested in learning more about. In my career thus far, it's been mostly, you know, unscripted or, you know, news-based, but I'd really love to be involved in a scripted series or something in my future.
You're going to get there. I feel it.
I'm putting it out into the universe.
Putting it out We're going to manifest. This 2020, you know what? After half of the year being gone, I was like, 2020 is the rest of my year is just going to, I'm going to manifest. I'm going to put it out there. And I'm not going to be a victim of this pandemic. Hopefully. Like circumstances of what I have control over. Right. I am just going to set up a ring light. Lights, camera, action. I'm going to manifest my dreams, baby. So yeah, this is the year of manifestation. You're going to do it. I feel it. We're putting the vibes out. By the way, for me, speaking of who you
Yes.
relate to. I just have to say, because I'm so sad about it, but I grew up really Regis Philbin, who just passed away at 88 years old a couple of days ago. I really feel that, because I think he and Kelly Ripa really sparked that desire within me to my dream was to be Kelly Ripa. That was what I used to say starting from middle school. And it was either that I wanted to be on Broadway or I wanted to be Kelly Ripa. So, you know, I mean, I just, I wanted to mention Regis because I thought we just needed to take a moment to acknowledge the legend that he was for not only just television, but entertainment in general, and also just a human being. I was reading the Wall Street Journal this morning, and one of the columnists, Jason Gay, who writes sports articles, he wrote a tribute to Regis, and he said, this was something so important that I know you'll love. He said, I'm at the point now in my life where when people pass away, I'm not thinking about their career milestones. I'm thinking about whether or not they were kind. And I thought that was so important. And it's like, duh, but it's also kind of profound, because I think we spend so much time in our lives sort of spinning our wheels about trying to get to the next career success, trying to get to the next goal, trying to get to all these, you know, achievements. But it's about people, and it's about how you make others feel in certain moments when you interact with them. And I thought it was worth mentioning Regis Philbin, because he clearly was a giant of the industry because he made people feel so special.
He really, we do things on our show now that he and Kathy Lee pioneered from the beginning. I mean, when they kind of were the first to throw away the cue cards and just talk. Yeah. And there were moments on that show, and still now with Kelly and Ryan, where they will talk for 20 minutes without a commercial break. And that's something that Regis and Kathy Lee did back when they started their show and found major success with. And he really paved the way for unscripted television, and like you said, it's all about being kind to people. I'm so glad that that's in the spotlight now. When people walk through our doors, they immediately get an experience, right? And it's so important that every single person, and I've had conversations with engineers, I've had conversations with photographers, I've had conversations with directors. It's not just the people who are in front of the camera that they have to be kind. Like, we all are a part of this machine. We're all part of this brand. And if somebody feels uncomfortable when they walk onto our set, it's game over for us. You know, not only to secure a great interview, but also just that person's going to leave and go out into the world, and they're going to have an impression of us. Maybe I'm getting a little off topic, but the fact that Regis could go throughout his career and have that many human interactions, like, you think he holds the Guinness World Record for most hours on television, and
17,000 hours, I think, is what
it's insane.
Yep.
And the fact that he has met as many people as he had, like, and his record comes up clean every single time. Do you know what I mean?
Now that is what we all want to aspire to.
Yeah. I once took a leadership class from a guy in San Antonio, and he said, just very point blank, very simply, if you want to be a better leader, be a better human being. And it's really less about the rules. It's less about, like, you know, keeping everybody in line and keeping everybody in check, but like listening to people's problems, reaching them with humanity before you're reaching them with, I'm your boss. And Regis is a great example of that for all of us in television, and honestly, just in any career.
Yeah, in any career. Well, speaking of any career, I wanted to give our live viewers, oh, there's my husband saying yes. Oh, my husband's a great example of being an amazing human being and leader in life. Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Also, hi, Akila. She said hello. I wanted to open it up to viewers who are watching to ask you a couple of questions. And there was one that I saw come in a little while ago that I wanted to circle back with. And it was, how do you overcome self-doubt in a moment where you're having it? This is a great question.
Ooh, well, I guess the biggest advice, or the advice that comes to my brain right away, is to not be reactive.
Yes, I love that.
Step away from the situation. Like, if you're feeling self-doubt, if you're feeling uncomfortable, if you're feeling unsure, if you feel that like fire rising in your belly, you know, that like this person's wrong and they're being, you know, making you uncomfortable, just when in doubt, remove yourself from the situation, reassess, like maybe even write it down, right? Write down how you're feeling. Once I learned to do that, sometimes once I reassessed, I realized that I was in the wrong, or that I wasn't thinking clearly in that moment. And you're just able to better go back into that situation and properly communicate your needs, your wants, and your feelings. So I guess that's just my personal biggest advice that I could give somebody.
And we've got another question. Akila asked, what do you miss most about San Antonio?
I miss you guys.
I know.
I mean, I love San Antonio, and I mean, who knows what's in my future. I could totally see myself moving back because it's the people, it's the community. There's just such a connection in San Antonio that I've never felt anywhere else, and I don't know if I will feel again. You just have friends for life in San Antonio, I feel like.
It's a special community here. I always give love to San Antonio when I'm out and about or in other cities and people ask me. I mean, it's just a very special place, and I'm lucky to have grown up here. I think I'm a 6th generation San Antonio. Yeah. It's kind of crazy when you have roots that deep. It's like they follow you. But okay, then there's another question coming in that I think is really cool, and it says, Katie, how do you plan the show?
Well, the important thing to note is that it's not all on me. We've got a team of 10 people who are all connected, right? They are all involved in different organizations. They all live in different areas of the city. So it's a group effort to plan the show. But we always want to keep a pulse on like what's happening right now in the city. Is there an event that's happening? Is there, you know, even if it's a news event. So like Friday was opening day, so we definitely wanted to plan a show around opening day for the Astros. And then we try to get a true variety of content. So instead of going super narrow, right? We've got such a diverse audience here in Houston. So we try to make everything accessible for a lot of people, keep it really broad. When we do an entire show about fashion, that may not be accessible to a lot of different people. So we try to do a little nugget in the show that's about fashion, but if you're not into fashion, you can stay tuned and get something else that you might also enjoy.
I love this. And we are going to get cut off in a minute and 23 seconds. Speaking of time cues, so very quickly, just to sign off, your social handles, your websites, how can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, Houston Life TV, at Houston Life TV is the show. I'm Hey Katie Rae, hey.Katie Rae. Follow me on Instagram, follow the show on Instagram. We have so much fun behind the scenes, and that's what you'll get when you follow us.
Thank you so much for being with me, Katie, today. It's been wonderful, and I wish you all the best in all of your endeavors. And I just really appreciate you taking the time and giving us a tour. It's been such a wonderful afternoon with you.
Well, thank you for doing everything that you're doing. It's incredible, and you're an inspiration to follow for me too, whether it be stylistically or with your content, or just now I need a little pink couch.
Everyone needs a little pink couch.
You're a trendsetter. You're a trendsetter.
Well, sending everybody love and light from my little pink couch to you in your home. Take care, Katie. I'll see you guys soon. Much love.
Bye.
Bye.